What's going on, guys? Commando Santa here, and welcome back to another episode of Buffalo Valley. So today I am going to be working on another big section of the park. I decided not to go with the haunted area just yet because I wasn't really sure what to do with it exactly and where I kind of wanted to go with the park. So I had this idea of I really wanted to do a Boomerang coaster, and I really just wanted to do another roller coaster. But I didn't want to do another actually like wooden based roller coaster, just to kind of get some new development almost in the park. It's kind of complicated, but I because I've been working with Jubilee Gardens, and I, closely follow a bunch of other series that try and do the realistic thing. Buffalo Valley has slowly been becoming even more and more realistic, and I don't know. I just really wanted to do something like a Boomerang, and I also did a few more things in this, but I'm actually not too happy with the way the Boomerang is, but it works. I had to do a lot of tweaking to get it to actually work perfectly and get it to work how I wanted it to, because with the basic height you do for the chain lift, the backwards chain lift, because if you add one more section to the end of it, it adds another support that looks like garbage, in all honesty. And then if you use the standard pieces, like the standard track pieces for the loops and the corkscrews and the half loops and stuff, on the way back, it actually barely makes it over the final half loop back to the station, even with because I set the friction to like roughly 0.7, and even then it barely made it, and it didn't look good. So I ended up bringing the second section of the roller coaster. So after you go through the half loop and then the corkscrew, when you come down the next half loop, it actually goes lower, and then I bring the far chain lift. I don't know what they call it, but the second lift there after the loop, I brought that up a little bit higher, but because it was lower and everything, it ends up looking like it's the same height. So I kind of trick the eye almost. So it actually worked out really well. And now it goes through at a great speed, and it flies through the coaster station, and it's really authentic, and it's just really great. It ended up turning out really nicely after a bunch of tweaking. But yeah, so branching off of the frontier town we had going, I ended up wanting to do another little flat ride that I didn't get to put into the kiddie park, which is the chair swing. And I love the chair swing. And I figured this location here, and bringing it up a little bit after I've done my terrain kind of editing last episode, bringing this up a little bit, actually, it's really cool. So once it gets swinging and you get above the trees, you can see like this whole side of the park. It's really, really cool. And when you're walking from the two main pathways, either from Frontier Town or from Buffalo Valley Central, you can actually see it coming above the trees, and it's just really cool. It's just really cool. And I didn't want to do anything too crazy with the queue. So I just made like a basic, generic kind of looking queue, because I didn't want to take eyes away from the main target, which would be the Boomerang itself. And plus there's going to be a few really nice, cool themed shops around that area, which I didn't get to in this episode, but I did one shop and a boardwalk, but you see that in a little bit. So, and I also didn't want to take eyes off of the chair swing itself. So just kind of make something super generic, and if I ended up putting like a canopy over this, it would just look bad, in all honesty. So I didn't want to do that. So just did some basic concrete work and some custom fence work, and it ended up turning out pretty okay. I mean, I'm pretty happy with it. Yeah, there wasn't really too much to do with this. I probably spent way more time on it than I should have, in all honesty. But yeah, it's just basic concrete work. You'll see more of it in the cinematic shots at the end. So, but what I really wanted to show off was this. So I ended up doing a little bit more path work and just trying some different things that I've been learning from doing Jubilee Gardens and stuff. And after the boat rentals section, I had a little piece of path that was jutting off to the one side. And I decided to just kind of, I'm trying to do more with different terrain levels ever since we've been really doing that on Jubilee Gardens, and a lot of more people have been getting into that. So having it kind of almost a staircase, and it comes up to this boardwalk section. And one of the things I found with working on something that is currently a slight secret, using these wooden planks that came with the spooky pack. They're like these normal like roof section sized pieces, but they're like flat, almost like a plane. If you put them on, you can put them on whatever you want to like make a faux looking wooden just kind of floor. But I found they work really well with boardwalk sections and like docks and stuff. So I really wanted to put them on here because it just, instead of when we usually use we use the wooden roof pieces, it just doesn't look that good because they have these beveled corners that kind of go around, and it just looks kind of like, it's just really weird because it casts enough shadow on the bump mapping. It looks like people could actually trip on it. So to me, that actually kind of is a little bit frustrating, and I don't want people tripping because that's a super lawsuit that Buffalo Valley just cannot have. So I decided to do just a complete flat wooden boards, and it just looks really nicely. And it only takes up like one park count per section instead of doing your own wooden boards that will take up a pile of park count. And let me tell you, this sucker's taken a long time to load every time I boot it up. So, and I'm getting to the point where actually my computer, which is a pretty beastly computer, it's hard to run with peeps in it, and I get like some low FPS at parts if I'm looking over the whole park. So, but yeah, I don't know. It just looks a lot better, and it saves me pieces, which is exactly what I wanted. But I really enjoy this because it's something where, you can have like a family member or something that's going up on the boat rental, and you can watch them go out into the lake, and you can, sit here, hang out. If I could actually make the benches actually be able to go not on a path, I would put a little bit more benching stuff there. But this little enclosed area, I'm saving it until we have the anniversary update. I was going to put tables and chairs there. So, because we're going to have like actual picnic benches that are going to be functional. So I figured I'll put them there so people can come here, sit down and eat and just look out over the water. And it is in close proximity to the Boomerang, which will be even more cool because it's sitting right next to, almost under the first big inversions, and that's going to be really cool, being able to just like sit there, watch it, and it's going to go like up and over. I don't know, this is just like the perfect spot for something. And I don't know, I just ended up putting like a Hats Fantastic in there because I don't know, I don't think I had one of those stores in here, and I just kind of wanted to put something there. And then I tried to force another building in there, and it just wasn't working out because I screwed with the paths enough right there that the path system was not happy with me, so it wouldn't let me do anything else. But other than that, I ended up just leaving the hat store in there and then working on this building, which required just the usual touch of random pieces strewn about, a little jutted out area. And then on the other side, on the main path, there is a entrance for probably like the staff to come in here, or like pretty much that's it, I guess. Because I tried to do like I said, another building on the other side, like another shop, but the paths weren't happy. It just, yeah. So I just have this side is facing the boardwalk, which is cool, I guess. I mean, it's almost like a miniature boardwalk compared to our big one in the Buffalo Valley proper, I guess you would call it. And yeah, there's not much more to talk about for this building. It's quite boring. It's there. That's exactly what it's meant to be. It's there. So when you're coming from Frontierland, you can just kind of see that, be like, oh, I wonder what's over there. And then you'll just go over there and see this lovely boardwalk, and then buy a hat, and then move on with your life, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I really enjoy these new spooky pieces, by the way. These, the new wooden columns, the wooden beams that came with the spooky packs, they're a lot thinner, well, a tad bit thinner than the normal columns we have. It's like, if you remember, I used them, they start out as a lighter color wood. These start out as a darker color wood, but I mean, color doesn't matter, you can change it anyway. But these are a little bit thinner, and they're a lot nicer to work with, because these to me actually seem scaled really, really nicely. So they're actually usable in everything. For just like, they're really good for accents, I guess. So it just works out really, really well. But yeah, and then a little bit of scenery decorations here and there, just kind of decorating with rocks, brushing. I've been trying to stray away from leaving everything like green grass. I found if you do like a base layer of something dark, like the I think it's called like, I think it's the mulch, or I don't even know. It's like fallen leaves or something. I do a base layer with the dark stuff, and then if you do on top of that the rocks, and this is only for this biome, but I guess you can make a custom one. But you do like a highlight of these, of like the pebbles, rocks, and stuff, and then cover it with your green foliage. It looks really nice. It just makes the whole place pop, you know? Almost like you have like fallen leaves and stuff, and it's just really, really nice. Sorry, I had to take a drink. So moving on back to the Boomerang, I ended up working on the station. I wasn't sure if I was going to do the station this episode, but I ended up having some time, and in all honesty, this isn't anything different than you've seen before if you've been watching Jubilee Gardens. I pretty much did a same kind of style as I did for my Mind Eraser coaster in Jubilee Gardens. And if you haven't seen that, make sure to check it out. Very generic, nothing too exciting, but because I didn't want to take anything away from the roller coaster itself. And the station itself is it's just cool looking in general anyway. But it's cool, but it's boring. But that's what makes it cool, I guess, you know? Nothing like crazy and huge and just normal. Ended up doing like a normal roof truss system and everything, and just kind of spreading it through. It took a little bit to get the architecture the way I wanted it to, but it turned out really nicely. Once you actually look inside, it looks like an actual real station. And every time I do these roof pieces, I do them different. I think I actually have a different style for the one in Jubilee Gardens. I don't remember, but I think there was another building where I did something like these roofs in Buffalo Valley, but I don't remember which one it was. But it's something a little bit different as well. And I really like these those sci-fi pieces that you'll see me place later, because they almost look like corrugated metal vents almost. And at the top of this building, you would expect it to almost have like vents, just for, you know, some light would come in and stuff, but it also have like a place for the air to escape, but not let like water and rain and stuff in. So, I mean, yeah, I did the same thing with Jubilee Gardens, but yeah. And then just kind of making pillars and stuff, and then the slow process of making it fit in with the scenery around it. Because right now it actually looks super out of place and super duper plain, but it gets better. I didn't like it at first. The same thing with everything I built. I never like anything I build at first, but after a while it turned out really nicely. So yeah, it's super generic. That's all it is. Just super generic. But once you start and decorate everything, it ends up really starting to pop. But pop in the way where it's it's not, I guess, it's not exciting. It's just really silly to say, but, you know, for a theme park like this, none of my buildings are super duper exciting because everything's just wooden and dull and boring, but they all have their own touch, which it's got its own style, you know? But yeah, and then on top of that, I ended up switching things around after looking at the building a little bit more, because this whole time I was building it, I didn't like the exit coming from the front, because the Boomerang by me at Darien Lake, it has the entrance in the front there, just like I had it, with almost like a cattle pen style back and forth queue. But the exit comes out the back, and you get to like walk near the water and come around by the roller coaster, and it's actually really cool. So I ended up wanting to put that in here, so I ended up bringing the exit path around the back and accenting a little bit and make the path look kind of really cool. And I was trying to do a little bit more of the gradient changes in the terrain height, just kind of keep that flow going. So I bring the path down a little bit, but I also left the terrain higher than the path just a tad bit. And then I ended up just having like a wooden wall. I think I'll do it in a little bit, but I had a low wall that kind of maybe almost is holding up the berm almost, and it just looked really cool. And then adding these trees and stuff around that really started to seal the area, because I didn't want too many trees where it was blocking all the roller coaster sight lines, but I wanted enough trees where it was actually, when you're sitting in the station, you're actually looking over top of some of the trees, which is really kind of a cool feature. Well, not feature, but whatever feature of this ride, I guess. You probably saw me looking inside a few times when I was placing the trees, just to see if the tree was the right height where you can just see over the top, which I just really enjoyed that. It was really cool. About right now, I should be working on that berm. Oh, and I also changed the color of the roller coaster. That's what I'm doing right now, because it was just a way too bright of a blue, and it was actually starting to hurt my eyes a little bit. Just in the right sun, it just looked kind of weird. And after I changed the color, it just set and fit in absolutely perfectly, which I'm sure you can see in right now or in some of the cinematic videos. Oh my gosh. After I went away from that super bright blue and made it almost look a little bit like the aged blue metal, where maybe it's been sitting there and got baked by the sun so long that it started fading the paint on the tracks, it started looking really nicely. So I was really happy with it. But yeah, this pretty much is going to conclude this episode. So one thing I wanted to talk about beforehand, I know I've been very slow with episodes recently, but I was in a kind of a low spot and super busy with work and a low spot with my creative outlet. So I'm finally actually back into it. I'm over it completely. So expect another video by next week. I hope. Fingers crossed. But yeah, I should have some more videos out on the channel by next week. And I also want to do a little bit more. I'm thinking of either picking up Architect or trying to do some stuff with that, or move into some other games as well. Because I am playing other games. It's just I couldn't play Planet Coaster for a little bit because I just couldn't focus. I was rather play like another game and stuff, and just I've been playing a lot of Factorio and stuff. So I don't know. I'm thinking about maybe doing like a Let's Play series, but we'll see if I have time. Well, I mean, I just have to record myself playing it, but that means I actually have to talk through the whole thing. But whatever. That is for another day. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching. As always, I appreciate every comment, any feedback you guys want to give me, just go for it. Gladly listen to it. If you guys have any suggestions of things you want to see, definitely let me hear them in the comments. Other than that, make sure to like the video. Follow me on Twitter if you don't. I sometimes post funny things and I retweet people, whatever. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Have a great week.